Thanks for your company. The details now. MP for the Dio Vanderpoel is accusing some operatives of the National Security Secretariat of brutalizing him. The former sports minister says the two operatives, accompanied by 10 others, attacked him in front of the Jamestown police station, where he had gone to secure bail for a journalist who had been arrested while working for him. Mr. Vanderpoel tells JoyNews he had deployed the journalist to take pictures of some projects he had undertaken in his constituency. Hearing of the arrest troubled him, causing him to head to the police station to intervene. He alleges that on arrival, some 12 persons, some of whom had guns on their sides, approached him and hit him in the chest. According to him, they asked him to leave the area and proceeded to slap him and punch him in the face. He's been recounting the incident to JoyNews' Joseph Akabley.
Tell the police why they did that, what I did wrong, and the police were able to tell us why they arrested my cameraman, who has gone to just take a picture of a project I am undertaking for the people. I am sad, but I'm not broken. I'm still strong. I know I have a God who liveth, and I know the teaming supporters of the NDC, my constituency, and the chiefs and people of the area are solidly behind me. Because yesterday, when the incident happened, without any call, then thousands of people who poured out at that time of the night followed up to the police station, from the police station to the hospital, and even some of them wanting to follow me to the house. It's enough encouragement to me.
So you have the MP for Ododo Vanderpoel recounting that incident to my colleague Joseph Akabley. Joseph joins us on the line. Joseph, so what more has the MP been telling you?
And so the project that he had gone to inspect, or had asked that photographs be taken, it's a slaughterhouse which he says he had used his MP's common fund to rehabilitate, and that as part of his measures of accounting to the people, he's decided that he wants to take shots and compile a green book for the constituents to show the projects he has undertaken in that area. And so he asked the gentleman to go over to take the pictures. The gentleman says when he arrived there, another person whom he claims to be a former assembly member for the area approached the gentleman and asked him to leave the area, and subsequently caused his arrest. And so he said he had been trying to communicate with the police officers at the station where the gentleman had been kept via phone, but because he wasn't yielding much, he decided to go over to the police station himself to intervene in the evening. It was on arrival that he says just when he arrived, he heard some noise outside. He came out of the police station. That was when the men approached him, hit him in the chest, punched him in the face, and slapped him as well. He says the police officers who were inside the station rushed out and intervened. And because there were a lot of people gathered in front of the police station, they called for reinforcement. And by the time the additional police and military men who came over had arrived, the men who assaulted him had fled the scene. He also alleges that his vehicle, a V8 vehicle, was completely damaged. The tires were deflated, as well as some parts of it were hit with various implements. And so the car, he says, is damaged and is at the police station currently.
All right. Joseph, does he tell you on what basis he says these people who attacked him are national security operatives?
I asked him that. He said he actually knows them. In fact, he mentioned some of them by names. He says these are individuals who are in the constituency whom he knows. He claims two of them say they work with the National Security Secretariat, and they actually carry arms. And so there are people that he knows in the constituency. And he further alleges that these are individuals who engage in violence, especially during the registration exercise. And so he's reported the matter to the police station, and he expects arrest to be effected. He intends to also take it up with the leadership of Parliament because as a member of Parliament, he believes his privileges have been violated.
Joseph, finally, before you go, just a bit on where he came out of the police station and was attacked. He was attacked unprovoked. Is that what it is? He didn't even engage.
The gentleman just walked towards him, and they asked him, what does he want here?
Okay.
And they hit him on the chest and told him to move away from here. Then they slapped him and punched him in the face. He said it was unprovoked. He never said anything to them. He has not done anything to them. He doesn't know why they would want to attack him.
I know I said finally, but just let me ask this one before you go. What degree of injuries did he sustain?
The most visible we can see from my own observation is on the right side, his right eye, just underneath the right eye. There's a bit of a swell. It's on the left eye, actually, the left eye. There's a bit of a swell around the cheek area, very close to the eye. It's a bit of a swell. He tells me that it was a bit higher, but because of the medicine that he was given yesterday in the hospital, it's much better. He tells me also that he feels pain in his chest where he was hit in the chest. And so he has received treatment and he's much better now, but he's hoping that the individuals who perpetrated the attack could be arrested.
All right. Thank you very much. Joseph Akable has been speaking to MP for Dodo Dionilante Vanderpool, who was attacked yesterday. According to him, he had tried to secure bail for a camera person who was taking footages of a project he had embarked on in the community. But we are joined by NPP parliamentary candidate for that same constituency, Nilante Bannerman. He seems to have a different account. Thank you for joining us, sir. What do you have to say about this incident?
Good morning, and thank you so much for the opportunity. I would want to say that in the first place, I would wish to condemn the attack on the MP on certain terms. I don't think any, for that matter, any leader or anybody deserves to be attacked physically. If anybody has issues, then for you to address your issues. Personal attacks and violent attacks, people.
Hello, Mr. Bannerman. Unfortunately, your line is breaking up a lot. Can you, if you can, reposition yourself so we can hear you clearly?
Can you hear me now?
Much better.
Can you hear me now?
It's much better, sir. Please continue with your submission.
What I'm saying is that I condemn the attack on the MP.
Okay.
On certain things. I don't think that anybody who has issues with another person should resort to any acts of violence against that person. And I also would want to put on record that this has nothing to do with NDC MPP. From the information I'm picking now, in fact, the thing happened yesterday around 11 p.m. thereabouts. At the time when I had, in fact, I was asleep already. Yesterday, after my house-to-house program and my group meetings, I slept very early around 9:30 p.m. I woke up this morning to see a lot of calls on my phone. I was asked to monitor a particular radio station, I think Peace FM, and I heard the MP thing. So I also had to go back and verify and to know what exactly happened.
So what exactly did you gather, sir?
What I gathered was that the MP was on Power FM around 10 p.m., alleging that one of his boys had been arrested at the police station, and all calls to the police to release the boy had proved futile. So he was moving from the radio station to the police station to release the boy by himself. And the people that he had mentioned as assaulting him, please, I would want you to place a call back to the MP. This has nothing to do with NPP, NDP. These are boys that he had trained and used from 2012 till now.
Well, let me just interrupt and make this clear. The MP has not, at least speaking to us, mentioned MPP and NDC in this matter. All he did say was to accuse these people or allege that they are national security operatives. So I don't know why you are making reference to MPP and NDC. If you heard that somewhere, fine. Yes, but he didn't say that on our platform.
Fine. So let me talk to the issues the way you have put it. I have heard him mention names on Peace FM. And I'm also on the platform in the constituency which he is also. And he has mentioned the same names. And I'm telling you that whatever names come up, ask the man who these boys are, who trained them, who got them to be violent the way they are. And what I'm saying is that those boys have defected from the NDC to the NPP. All we are pleading with them is that anything that they have, whatever scores are there to settle with the MP, they should hold on.
So do you know these? So do you know these men? Do you know the men? Do you know the men?
They are names that have been alleged. So please, if you allow me to finish, then you can ask me the next question. Her campaign is not hinged on violence. Everybody that knows me knows that I am not violent. I'm a very humble person, very God-fearing. I don't need these things in my campaign. So please, I'm pleading that whatever scores they have to settle with him, they should wait after our elections. There are so many places they can go to have
Mr. Bannerman, we do understand. You've made the point that you're a peaceful person, but I just want to find out from you the names of the people he mentioned. Do you know them? You just said they defected from the NDC to the MPP. Do you know them? Do they work with the National Security Secretariat?
He's talking about. And none of them is a national security operator.
All right, okay.
None of them.
Okay, we'll leave it here for now. But thank you so much for your time. Ni Lante Bannerman is MP aspirant on the ticket of the NPP for the Ododo constituency. We're just hearing his side of the story to that incident that occurred sometime last night around 11 p.m. involving the MP for the area, Ni Lante Vanderpoel, who we heard earlier. That's Deputy Director General of the GS, Anthony Boateng, speaking to Mama Viowusa Boaje earlier on the AM show. But joining us now is Kofi Asare. He's Executive Director of Africa Education Watch. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Asare. The reasons given by the Deputy Director General of the GS sound very convincing. What exactly is the issue with it?
Well, good morning and good morning to your cherished viewers. Stakeholders have raised concern about the lack of consultation. Well, we haven't, but we observe that teacher unions are very critical in this process, and they have been sidelined. And this is not the first time they have been sidelined. You know, in many critical decisions at this level, they are sidelined. And I'm surprised that the GNES Deputy Director General feels that sidelining teacher unions in taking decisions relating to the reopening of schools is the best practice at this point. Anyway. But
did he say it's the best practice? I'm not sure he said that. Are you deducing, or you heard?
He didn't express any regrets. He didn't express any regrets. And it's not the first. And so if they think that they have the mandate to provide education services, and so they determine how to go about it, that's fine.
Okay, so Mr. Asare, let me just find out from you. So you've raised concerns about the lack of consultation, but the decision in itself and the reasons we just heard, are they bad?
Well, the first is that the first reason he gave is quite buzzing. We will probably need to interpret it further. I'm not saying that I don't agree with him, but what I want to say is that if on the basis of the principle of physical contacts per WHO, children in lower primary cannot go to school because their curriculum involves that learning takes place through play and interaction. We all know that. If on the basis of his submission, then we cannot conveniently say that until COVID is over, until there are vaccines for all children, we cannot reopen the lower primary, from lower primary to early childhood. That is clear per the submission he made. And that I think that is interesting. We will have to later have a discussion on that. But on the issue of reopening schools for only Form 2, perhaps if there was consultation, they would have realized that it was possible to reopen perhaps the entire educational system for 2 months, compressed from third term. Because as it's happening in Sierra Leone now, they are in school. They opened school before Sierra Leone opened school for the finalists, but they are in school. They've opened the entire cohort and they are doing a compressed term. There are two options. Either you open school for the third term, have a compressed third term to atone for the learning loss due to the long closure, or you take the academic year and move to the next January and then have a new academic year.
So perhaps
fused in a way into the first term.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
So the two of then because only they know why they took the decision, it is very difficult for us to explain why. We can only explain the effect, and the effect of the decision is that as students stay home for a long period, the learning loss extends, especially for students in about 20% of Ghana where there's no electricity, about 5 million households. Children there cannot access the Ghana Learning TV.
Okay.
And so their colleagues do so in urban areas. We widen the gap, in learning loss. Apart from that, our research also indicated that about 20% of the schools we sampled, it recorded issues of girls not returning to school. I'm talking about junior high school 3 and senior high school 3. And the reason 78% was pregnancy and the remaining was marriage. Point I want to make is that there's evidence from Sierra Leone and Liberia that prolonged school closures will lead to about 22% of people not returning to school, especially girls. And so we need to take into cognizance the social impact and then also the direct education impact of long school closures and how we can all work together to mitigate the likely consequences of these closures. The media has a role to play, CFOs have a role to play, and then the GES. We need to be engaging the girls at home with more content that will enhance their moral behavior and also make them more assertive when it comes to sex education so that they can resist sexual violence and not participate in activities likely to make them pregnant, because that seems to be the key issue for girls' re-entry. Whilst we roll out e-learning interventions to bridge the learning loss. For the rural areas, it's unfortunate there's very little we can do because the radio lessons going on is not too effective. I'm just coming from a tour of virtually about 30 communities. It's not effective. But we can only manage with the TV for those who can access them and hope that schools reopen, in January.
Let me take you back to your submission about compressed terms for all the students. Is that not possible when they return in January? Because definitely some of them, like you're saying, will still struggle to exhaust their curriculum. So can we do that when they return in January to compress and combine what they couldn't study during the lockdown or during the school shutdown period to what they would have to study for the next term?
Yeah. That is possible. That is what countries like Nigeria are doing. They are also planning to start the academic year. Some of the states, of course, are planning to start the academic year in January. Any country planning to start the academic year in January virtually is saying that in the first term of that academic year, if I were in class 4, I'm now going to class 5, I would do some class 4 third term stuff in the first year, in the first term of class 5, because of the learning loss. And so definitely you have a semblance of the third term which we lost and half of the second term which we lost in the previous academic year fused into the new academic year so that we will have an extended one. So the issue is not about not atoning for the learning loss. You definitely atone for it. But the issue is about why couldn't we have reopened schools in phases in October, November, December, after WASI and BEC has ended. Why couldn't we have done that, rather opening for junior high school students? And we are making the point that we don't know why the decision was taken, but we can only infer about the consequences, the positive and then the negative. The positive consequence actually is that it will afford government an opportunity to study the current second wave of infections spreading across many countries and see how the second wave of infections may or may not affect Ghana. And so it's much better for you to hasten in reopening schools with just a little cohort, JSS2, SS2, to test and see how the second wave will affect Ghana. Probably that's the only benefit I see by this approach. Other than that, I think that we could have engaged the teacher unions, especially in the private schools, on the possibility of having 1 or 2 more cohorts join this cohort in reopening schools in batches. At least having 4 hours a day for morning shift, 4 hours a day for afternoon shift alone would have been so important, especially for rural schools, without electricity, without e-learning content, who need to catch up with their colleagues in urban areas. If our system was devolved, like systems in other federal countries, like a federal state like China, and in other countries like in Tonga, and in other countries where we have municipalities opening schools, we could have had Bongo districts decide to reopen their schools because they know that in their districts, very few communities have electricity.
All right.
So that they would raise classes for their students. But unfortunately, our system is heavily centralized, not yet decentralized, and so we don't have the luxury of municipalities taking decisions to reopen schools.
Thank you very much, Mr. Asare. Kofi Asare is Executive Director of Africa Education Watch, and we've been talking about government's directive to reopen schools and the concerns that there wasn't much consultation before that decision was arrived at. Away from the education sector, some customers of 53 defunct fund managers are bearing the brunt of ongoing feud between some of the companies and the Securities and Exchange Commission from battling ill health to struggling to secure 3 square meals. The customers, mainly customers of Gold Coast Securities, now Black Shield, are accusing the regulator of deliberately sidelining them in the process, leading to the payment of their claims. They are therefore demanding an immediate inclusion of their claims in the bailout package for affected customers. Manuel Kranting was at their press conference on Monday and reports.
Our money, no pay, no pay, no vote, no pay, vote against, no pay, vote against.
No money, no vote. That's the refrain being chanted by the members of the coalition of aggrieved customers of 53 collapsed fund managers. For them, it's either government causes the Securities and Exchange Commission to include their names in the list of beneficiaries of the bailout packages. The SEC had earlier announced that out of the over 82,000 claims received from the customers of defunct Gold Coast Securities fund managers, data on just 3% had been submitted for validation. But the group disagrees.
It's not true. Security and Exchange Commission, they are in bed with government. They are lying to us. They are lying to us. It's not true. They have every access to our details and our data. Blackshot has provided them everything. So why are they lying to us? Why are they lying to us?
For some of the customers, all they have is a hope that government will intervene in the matter.
To kill myself, why? I have so many orphans caring for. Having so many orphans caring for. Nobody's there to help. It's only God I'm looking.
I donated my money at Goku's. A huge money, which I don't want to mention it here. So once I was on bed, to get money to buy medicine, it's hard for me. The little money they give me for mentally, the same money I used to buy for the medicine and for my house keep.
Okay, and then once we've done the validation, by now they should be able to collect everything to pay us. And once others are being paid, why should we not also enjoy?
My concern is I need my money. I need my money.
Thank you. The group is therefore warning of a demonstration in September if their call is not heeded. Charles Nyame is the convener.
What we know is that Securities and Exchange Commission have all the data of Gold Coast Fund Management. They've just seen that we constitute the greater percentage of the affected customers under the financial cleanup exercise in the fund management sector. So they are trying to sideline us, give some excuses to convince the public, then they go through the election smoothly. Even now, as we are speaking, court is in recess. It will resume in November 8th. So as a customers, as vulnerable customers, we have to resort to our civil rights. And that's what we are going to do. And it's going to be a nationwide demonstration.
Manuel Kranting with that report. We've been joined by Paula Bibio. He's Deputy Director General for SEC. We want more clarity on this. Thank you so much for joining the show this morning. He said, so I'm sure that these customers of Black Shield or Gold Coast Management, as you have it, were informed by a statement released by the company suggesting that you had access to all the information you needed to verify claims and validate claims. They say that PwC took over, came to their offices, and so they're a bit surprised that your outfit will come out to say that you only have access to about 3% of claims or that you need to validate. Just help us, settle the differences between what you're saying and what Black Shield is saying.
Okay. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and good morning to your viewers as well. We understand the difficulty of the customers, and please hold on just a minute.
Hello, Mr. Abebio, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. You can still speak.
No. Okay. No, we understand the difficulty of the customers, and we really appreciate the suffering that people are going through in these difficult times. And that's also what informed the action we're taking. It's a bit unfortunate that it's being represented as such, but we've gone through a series of engagements, and part of the challenge really has been the nature of processes we have to follow. If you recall, at the time of our revocation, we indicated that we have actually written to the Registrar General to apply to court to obtain liquidation.
Exactly.
For these firms. Okay. So what we communicated in June was that we have obtained some of the liquidation orders. Now the official liquidator can go into the process of rolling out the scheme that will involve customers getting access to their funds. So that process is now commencing. Now, the challenge that obviously arises with this is that not all firms have obtained, we don't have liquidation orders for all the firms.
Okay. Does this include Black Shield?
Where we are.
Because they say in their statement, okay. But let me just quote a portion of their statement. They accuse you of stalling the entire process in not responding to their action filed on the 15th of June 2020. So Black Shield is saying that, look, if there's any delay, it has to be the fault of SEC, because you could have, initiated this process earlier. Let me just find out from you first, did you fail to reply to that suit or action filed on the 15th of June? And if you did, why?
I don't want to go into the details of that. But their aim or their object of that process is to set aside our decision.
Okay.
That is the fundamental issue at stake here. So they are saying that they can continue operating, and that is an issue that has to be determined. Obviously, with court processes, you have to file your arguments, you have to go through the requisite evidence gathering and all that. So that's an ongoing process that, in a sense, they are challenging our actions. And what we communicate about that, our actions, because of the nature of our law, and because we require that the interest of people that are being assumed is clear. Because again, once we proceed, it's subject to legal challenge. And we want to minimize that risk. So imagine we start going ahead, and then some of their customers say they don't want to do this anymore, and it becomes a very difficult situation. We're doing this for justice now. So to add on an additional complexity, when you are facing legal battles on your fundamental actions, also means that you are increasing the legal risk.
All right, Mr. Ababia, we are
so that is part of what's informed our decision to proceed as we are. It's not a one-off transaction. We're doing the first phase. The other firms will also be included when they are ready.
Okay.
And when the processes for them are also complete.
Okay.
So we know that people have waited for a while. We encourage them to be patient a little bit. We are proceeding as fast as we can. I think they indicated court on vacation, but some judges are still sitting.
Yeah.
So we will see what can be done along
in regard to that. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Mr. Abebio, we are told by Black Shield again that on the 9th of November 2019, some staff of PwC in the escort of policemen took over their offices and took over all the data they have. And so how come you're saying that you don't have access to all the data you need?
Okay. I'm not going to go too much into that, because data is not just the paper document you see. There's also software and there's digital data. And we have engaged them on a certain level. We've made progress in that in the last few weeks. But a big issue, if you notice in our release, a big issue is also the court processes. We're going through the validation process now. And so that's an ongoing process.
So do you have all the data you need? Do you have all the data you need? Do you have all the data and documents
you need? The validation process is iterative, because if you notice, the claims we have against them are 4.6. The assets that we have on record for them was significantly less than that. So there's a gap somewhere, and they have not been forthcoming in giving us access to their database.
Okay.
And so that's an issue that we'll have to investigate, we'll have to interrogate. And that highlights the importance of what we are doing, that we cannot just say that because we receive claims, we're paying. We have to validate those claims. There might be some confusion because receiving claims is not the same as validation. Validation requires that you look at the database, you look at the actual record, and you try and do some reconciliation. Then if there are differences, you invite people to confirm or to explain some of the variances we observe.
Okay.
So that is the process we need to follow.
So bottom line is customers, especially of Black Shield, would have to exercise a bit of patience. One, because of a court case that you are engaged with Black Shield, and also because the validation process is still ongoing. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Paul Abibio is Deputy SEC boss, and we've been speaking about some concerns of aggrieved customers, especially of Black Shield.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darrell Kwao. Large-scale industries are waiting for commercial banks to partner with government on its guarantee scheme for revival of the industrial sector. This, we believe, will go a long way to support in alleviating the negative impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on their businesses. Chief Executive of the Association of Ghana Industries, Sechuma Kwabwa, and Executive Member of the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industries, Dr. Samuel Frimpong Boateng, have been speaking with Joy Business.
As far as that is concerned, a lot of our members actually applied. A few of them have gotten it, those at the micro level, but some are also in the process of receiving theirs. So that is very far. But when it comes to the bigger one, what government mentioned in the midterm budget review, the modalities have not been completed as far as we are concerned, so there hasn't been any kind of disbursement. But bear in mind that that one is a bit different from the first one. The difference is that with that one, it's a guarantee scheme that government is setting up. So you need to have banks that are prepared to on-lend, and then they will fall on the guarantee to give them comfort to give you the facility. So far, the modalities haven't come out, so nobody has assessed it.
Like, no longer overdue. I mean, it's been more than 2 months since.
Well, I think it is not for me to say. We will have to monitor a little bit, because as I said, there's a difference between the two. This one, because you need other third parties. The first one, government made the funds available, so it's been put in a bank and it's been disbursed. It makes it relatively easier and faster. But this one, the second one, is a guarantee scheme. So it means that if you don't have financial institutions that are prepared to on-lend, you cannot fall on the guarantee. And dealing with financial institutions and dealing with individual clients will go through a process. So one can understand that there are a lot of modalities to go through, and therefore that could delay it a little bit. But having said that, the faster we do it, the better it is because it's for emergency situations.
These are really struggling to some extent. One of the things that we've done is structure the resilience nature of the businesses in Ghana, so that once a kind of a shock like the COVID hit businesses, what is the position, what is the strength, what is the absorption capacity for taking on these shocks. So as far as we know, some of the industries that really suffered is the tourism industry has suffered. Minor business that really don't have enough liquidity to feed into their working capital have also suffered. Those that have done well, to some extent, even though industries have been hit, but the package has come to really revive them to a large extent.
And in other news, a public interest advocate wants government to cancel its flagship program, the Nation Builders Corps, immediately. Frank Abuade Danyansa knows resources for that initiative should be channeled into permanent jobs for the youth. According to him, government has been spending 2.5 billion cedis in 3 years on NAPCO, an amount he believes could set up factories under the 1D1F initiative in all regions. He appeals to NAPCO beneficiaries to push government to create permanent jobs for sustainable livelihoods.
What we suggest is that we've done a bit of calculation, and we believe multiplying 700 cedis monthly okay, by the 100,000 people that NABCO claims to have employed or engaged, it will bring us almost about 2.5 billion Ghana cedis. And this figure, when we divide it by the 16 regions, we are getting something around 157.5 million Ghana cedis, which is an amount that can set up factories in each of these districts. When we break it down, we are talking about $28,000, holistically. And this amount can set up 5 factories in each region that can employ over 5,000 youth in each of these regions, bringing the sum to about 80,000. Assuming that these factories are going to be run day and night situations, we are talking about 80,000, even half the number being added to it. So it's over 120,000 more than the NABCO that they claim to have employed. So we are talking about sustainable work venture that would contribute to the GDP of this country. A work venture that will still get the employee paying taxes to this nation. Something that would also bring security to that employee so that in future when the person is no more in service, he or she can rely on.
All right, that's your business update. Sports is up next.
Thanks for staying on News Desk. George Addo Jr. is here. Let's talk sports. Let's start from home.
Yes,
there's a GFA Congress ongoing.
Yes, the Ghana Football Association Ordinary Congress. I think it's the 26th edition taking place at the Ghana Soccer Center of Excellence in Pram. And throughout the day, we'll be giving you updates on what's happening right at the Congress. It started, I think the president of the Ghana Football Association, Keto Kreko, has spoken. He delivered a speech. A highlight of the speech was that anytime a member of the Ghana Football Association has issues with the association, what you do is you use the right quarters to address it. Do not get onto media platforms and begin to, lambast the products you want to sell, to corporate Ghana. I think that's been a problem of the Ghana Football Association. So he addressed that. Right after that, we also had the Minister for Sports, Isaac Esiama, otherwise Isaac Esiama there. He also gave us a speech. And I'm sure as we go through, my colleague, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi, who is there to cover for us, will be telling us a lot more on this. So expect us to be giving you the updates across platforms till the end of the day.
Okay.
They will also see if they could amend statutes. That's what we're saying, that is discontinuing the steps to amend statutes. That's what FIFA said, and this is a story that we covered. So we're yet to find out whether things like how much in terms of monthly allowance the Ghana Football Association president is going to be giving. The proposal was 12,000 Ghana cedis, which was 290% of what the ex-president Kwesi Nyantakyi used to take.
Per month?
Yeah.
Are you talking about monthly allowance?
Yes, just allowance, yes. Are you surprised?
No, because it's football. I mean, football is, very capital intensive. But looking at Ghana and our level and our
12,000 Ghana cedis.
A month?
Yeah, it's just a
That's
allowance.
just an allowance?
Yes, for being the GFA boss. But Messi is earning close
Talking
to 1
about
million.
Messi, because what's the level of, economic activity as against the kind of game and quality they have there? You talk about TV rights alone, even in Europe. You know how much clubs earn from TV rights. So it makes sense.
The good thing is, Congress will need to decide. If Congress agrees that they want to go that line, there's nothing we can say. And that's the part of where they say football is ours. It's theirs because the stakeholders, who are delegates and club owners, decide what to do with the football. If they decide 12,000 is fine, befitting for the FA president, so be it.
Voila.
We'll just come here and continue to rant and tell you what's
Unfortunately, it's not open to us.
No,
like
it's not
elections.
Open. Yes, like elections where you can come in and
okay.
vote. No, it's all about delegates and you must have that. So that's a special one, and we're keeping across this. You want to follow us on Twitter at JoySportsGH, also on Instagram, and then you can follow us on MyJoyOnline. There are more updates, and importantly, on midday, Paul's Prime, you'll be seeing more and hearing more from Muftau.
All right.
Can we just end with the tennis?
Sure, we can.